So what I have with me in my hands present in front of me in 2025 is what I think might be one of the, if not the most versatile flyboard that you can possibly build. Let's check it out real quick. Let me just actually take it out of the case real quick and dirty. You know how it is. We've got this really cute little nifty thing that's actually super freaking powerful. Let's take a quick listen to it and then kind of come back and talk about it. What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another video. My name is Frank Guitarist. I'm a guitar player based in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and today we're going to be talking about my new travel board that I've built. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've built this pedal board for my bass rig, and ultimately now it changed a little bit just because I've got a couple of gigs coming up with my band Sonic View in the next coming weeks, and they're mostly going to be out of state. And I thought, why not build something small that I can take pretty much anywhere? Doesn't matter if the venue is big, small, whatever it is. I've got something that will work with me every single time and actually sound the way that I like it to. Now, if you've known me or known my channel or have seen my face in any of these videos, you might know that I've been using the Quad Cortex live for the past 3 years. And I absolutely love it. It's still my favorite thing to use in the world, and I've got a lot of other pedals that I use with it that I think are actually crucial to what I do and how I do it. But there's a lot of gigs that are honestly, I'd rather take something small and portable, because usually I take 2 guitars and something like this or like the bigger pedal board. There's not always going to be as much space as I would want it to be. And I totally understand. I could just take the Quad Cortex. Technically, that would still be a fantastic idea, but I don't want to take it off of my pedal board. I don't want to have to, deal with taking it off, putting it elsewhere, and then putting it back in. I'm just lazy like that, and this is definitely a first world problem. But I thought, why not build something small with what I've already got that I can actually use for shows and actually, take out without necessarily having to worry about taking out my Quad Cortex and having to worry about anything happening to it, right? Because I've had it happen that I've got everything plugged in and someone steps on a power cable and turns off the full board. Something like this is going to be a little bit easier to, both deal with that, but also not have to worry about that kind of stuff happening. I don't foresee it happening with something like this. Now let's talk about the actual build and what's going on here. We've got a pedal train Nano. It's just a Nano Standard. We've got a Canvas from Walrus Audio. This is a Canvas HP, particularly because it does have that one outlet that you can use to power stuff like the Hx Stomp or even the Quad Cortex for that matter. And then I am using a current doubler for 2 of the outputs because the outputs are going to be 500 milliamps and the Nano Cortex recommends 600 milliamps. While 500 can probably power it, I am 100% sure that they normally recommend 600 or more, so I went ahead and added that in there so we can use the Nano Cortex. And then I do have a little Ampero foot switch just to add foot switches 5 and 6. The plan is to get one of the Pedalnatics pedals to add it here so I can have the extra buttons over here on top of the Hx Stomp and actually add another pedal here because I'm a huge fan of pedals, as you already know. But I would like to add a delay here, even though it's a small space, and I don't know how would fit something like the Keeley Halo in there, but I'll probably make it work. I might have to push everything just a little bit tidy up. Other than that, though, I mean, I can use it like this. This is perfect for me, and I'm planning on using it like this. I'm not going to get the Pedalnatics stuff anytime soon, honestly. It's just a small, powerful pedal board. Now, why did I, opt into, putting the Nano Cortex with the Hx Stomp, right? Because ultimately, a lot of people would say Nano Cortex versus Hx Stomp, one or the other, right? I say, why not both? But the main reason as to why I'm doing them both is because I think that they both do separate things very well, and there's things that one is better than the other and vice versa. I think the amplifiers are way better on the Nano Cortex. This is just my personal take. I've been using the Hx Stomp for over 7 years now. I had the black version, sold it, got the Quad Cortex, and a couple of years later I did get this one for my ideally bass rig, but now it's a this can do anything rig, right? I can use this for electric guitar, I can use this for acoustic guitar, bass, I can do pretty much anything with this. But the reason why I'm using them both together is, like I said, I think they both do different things very well. The effects and the different ways of using snapshots in the Hx Stomp are going to be way better than the Nano Cortex, in my opinion. Now, on the Nano Cortex, you do have a lot of MIDI control that you can actually use. So if you get a MIDI controller externally, you can do a lot of different things with it, which is pretty cool, just like you would on the Hx Stomp. But I do think that the effects are also better on the Hx Stomp. There's just much more variety, right? Line 6 has been doing it for the past 30 years or so, and they just have a big catalog of delays, modulations, reverbs, and all that kind of stuff that I really like, and I think we all like at this point. Their amplifiers are good. I feel like if I want to get the kind of sound that's in my head out of the amplifiers here, I do need to get external IRs, and that's cool. I just didn't care to have to, sit down and deal with the whole programming when I know that the Nano Cortex is going to sound like the amplifiers that I use in the Quad Cortex. I was like, you know what? I'll just add this for the amplifiers and then a couple of extra presets within the snapshots, essentially, and then have this as kind of like the brain of the operation in terms of like switching everything, and kind of like the way that I'm using it is mainly snapshots. So I've got 1, 2, and 3, and then I do that per song. And then essentially what I'm doing is 1, 2, and 3, but then it multiplies, right? Because I've got 4 different banks here in the Nano Cortex. So how I run it is I've got 2 different sets of cleans, one clean without pretty much any sort of delay here, and then one that's very washy. That way I can pair the washy here with whatever I want to pair it over here, and then that's just gonna really take me out with reverb, really just to wash it out and drown my sound if I wanted to. And then the other side I normally use for distortions, pretty much just one distorted channel and one boosted distorted channel for my solos. And then, like I said, just being able to use the snapshots here is pretty cool because I can go ahead and turn on and off different pedals here in one go. And then with these 2 buttons, I can actually go to the next page or next song and have a whole different bank for the next song, right? And keep going kind of from there. And I normally, with this kind of setup, I just build it per song or per group of songs, because there's a couple of different songs that we do that are actually very similar in terms of like how I use my gear, and this all goes to my Quad Cortex as well. And what I would normally do is I just leave it on that bank, but then let's say I've got a group of songs that's in, a full step down. So I'll go ahead and go to the next one, and this will trigger the full step down for me, the polycapo, and then kind of like pretty much have a full subset in that kind of tuning. And then go on to the next one. I've got very specific effects for a song, etc. and I think they pair up very well together. I'm currently using the Nano Cortex in the effects loop of the Hx Stomp, though I've heard of other people saying that they would prefer using this one either before or after because of the tone and whatnot. I haven't noticed any loss of tone using it in the effects loop, so I think it's fine. Yeah, I thought I'd talk about this board because I think it's really, really freaking rad. And the power supply is obviously a very important component. I think the canvas stuff is pretty much one of the most solid power supplies out in the market. To me, it's either this or the Hx stuff. Those are going to be the best ones in terms of how much power you can get out of each outlet. So this one is the one that I was using for this because I had it for the Hx Stomp and it works for what I'm doing with this board, right? So yeah, I thought I'd kind of share this. Future thoughts that and future plans with this pedal board is I want to try to hook it up via MIDI as well. I want to get a MIDI 5-pin to TRS, so I can actually try to like send MIDI clock from this to time the delays all together, not have to tap them on both ends, which actually this button, I'm using it to tap tempo and for the tuner. But yeah, this is the build that I made, the really small travel board that works for pretty much anything. If you have any questions about it, any suggestions with this in terms of like the setup, drop them down in the comment section. Would love to hear what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff actually helps out more than you think. And hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next video.